This adventurous story begins in a forest, showing a large pit filled with countless dead bodies. The scene was so terrifying that anyone witnessing it would not survive. It seemed as if each person had been selectively killed and thrown into this pit. Amid the heaps of corpses, one man regains consciousness. His eyes slowly open, and he finds himself in this dreadful place. Strangely, he cannot remember who he is or how he ended up here. His memory is completely gone. The man tries to escape the pit, but it is too deep, and there is no way out. Seeing dead people all around him terrifies him even more. Suddenly, he notices someone above the pit watching him closely. He shouts for help, but the person retreats. The man starts fearing that this stranger might be a hunter who brings people here to kill them. Just like the others, he feels his fate is doomed. Then he spots a gun lying nearby and picks it up, keeping it for protection. Soon after, a rope is lowered from above, indicating someone wants to help him escape safely. The man grabs the rope and climbs up slowly, but when he reaches the top, the person who helped him has vanished. Only the silence of the forest remains. Holding the gun, he cautiously moves forward, searching the surroundings, still unable to remember his name or why he is in this terrifying forest. As he travels a little further, he sees a house ahead. Carefully entering with the gun, he finds people inside engaged in a discussion. Pointing his gun at them, he demands to know who they are, suspecting they had captured him and thrown him into the pit. The people inside are shocked to see him, and one of their members points a shotgun at him, equally confused, thinking the stranger might be the one responsible for all the killings, unaware of what had actually happened. The truth was that the man who had emerged from the pit and everyone inside the house were in the same condition. They couldn't remember their own names or how they had ended up here. Once this was explained to the stranger, everyone lowered their guns. All of them were completely confused, wondering what was really happening. They all knew very well about the heaps of dead bodies in the pit, which clearly indicated something was very wrong in this forest. Why hadn't their memories returned yet? Among the group, there was a short-haired woman trying to write something on paper in Chinese. Obviously, no one could understand her language, so they ignored her. It seemed she knew something important that she wanted to convey. Soon, everyone checked their pockets carefully for any information. They found identity cards, which helped them remember their names. Only the stranger who had just come out of the pit had no identification. While searching the house, they discovered a chamber stocked with days' worth of food and supplies, suggesting someone had purposefully left it there to trap them. On a calendar, they noticed many dates marked with crosses and one circled date approaching in a few days, hinting that something significant might happen then. The group realized they needed to stay alert and use all their equipment wisely for protection. One of them, a man named Mike, seemed skilled with firearms, possibly hinting at a military or soldier background. While they didn't remember personal details, their individual skills remained intact, they just hadn't recognized them yet. In the house, they also found a room filled with weapons, which they distributed among themselves for safety. Night had fallen, but their curiosity pushed them to find answers. The stranger joined Lucas, the leader of the other group, and a female companion to investigate outside. Armed, they felt less fear as darkness and the presence of wild animals surrounded them. While traveling a short distance, they were shocked to discover someone tied up brutally at the base of a large tree, apparently killed. Several others were tied and killed in a similar manner. Who was behind this? There were no clues yet. Lucas and his group continued investigating and looked up at the sky, only to see it sparkling with countless stars, something impossible to see clearly in a city. This made them realize that they were far from any city. Suddenly, they heard sounds coming from a small house nearby. Armed, the three of them went to investigate who was inside. Once inside, they found the short-haired woman from their own team feeding another mentally unstable woman whose legs were chained. As soon as the unstable woman noticed the stranger and Lucas's team, she became furious and tried to attack them by throwing her food. The stranger quickly struck her on the head, knocking her unconscious. They still didn't understand who she was or why she had attacked them. By now, they also noticed a CCTV camera inside the house, meaning someone was monitoring them. Lucas, the stranger, and the rest of the team discussed that to figure out what was happening, they needed to trace the source of the CCTV feed. Discovering the source could reveal a lot. They also decided it was too dangerous to move around at night, so they would wait until morning to explore and find a way out. Hungry and exhausted after a long day, they all stayed together inside the house. Meanwhile, the stranger began experiencing visions linked to the forest. In these visions, he saw himself dragging someone, a woman who was still alive, but he felt an urge to harm her. The woman had an animal tattoo on her body. He didn't understand who she was or how he knew her. At one point, he even began to suspect himself as the cause of all these events, but he resolved not to reveal anything until things became clearer. The next morning, Lucas, the stranger, and 2 other team members set out into the forest to explore and try to find a way out. The plan was for Mike and the mute short-haired woman to stay behind in the house while the rest explored. However, Mike insisted on coming along, confident in his firearms skills and determined to help the team more effectively. Lucas and the rest of the team decided that some members had to stay behind. Without further discussion, the rest moved forward, leaving Mike and the mute girl in the house. Mike was extremely frustrated. He wanted to showcase his skills but felt useless, like a servant. After some time, Mike heard a sound coming from a distance and wanted to investigate. The mute girl tried to stop him, warning it could be very dangerous, but Mike locked her inside and stepped out. He followed the sound to its source and found a man trapped among sharp wires, writhing and begging for help. Mike didn't fully understand the trap and cautiously tried to free him. As he got close, the dangerous man grabbed Mike and looped the sharp wire around his neck. Mike struggled and screamed, but the rest of the team had moved far away and couldn't hear him. The man yanked the wire sharply, and Mike fell unconscious to the ground. Meanwhile, Lucas and his team had reached 2 cars parked behind a house. Upon checking, they discovered the keys were inside, as if someone deliberately wanted them to get in and try to leave. Inspecting both cars, they found one had low fuel and the other a dead battery, meaning maintenance was needed before they could move. As they examined the cars, Lucas discovered photographs. Shockingly, the photos showed all the people who had been in this place before, but the man who had emerged from the pit was missing from every photo. When Lucas shared this with the stranger, he was deeply puzzled and wondered if he himself might have been the one taking the photos. This was why he didn't appear in the photographs, and the explanation seemed valid to everyone, though they still harbored some suspicion toward the stranger. Quickly, they gathered all the equipment they had found and kept it with them, increasing their vigilance. Before they could move further, the mute woman arrived, signaling that Mike was in grave danger. The team immediately armed themselves and rushed toward the fencing area where the dangerous zombie-like man was holding him. When they reached the spot, Mike was severely injured, bleeding so heavily that survival seemed impossible. As the team approached to comfort him, Mike tried to signal them, but he succumbed to his injuries and died there. Everyone was devastated, as Mike had been an important member with many valuable skills that were now lost. The dangerous man still screamed from where he was bound to the fencing, prompting the stranger to take action. He raised his gun and killed the man, setting a precedent for their security. If other dangerous individuals were around, they would have to anticipate attacks and ensure their protection. Next, the stranger helped 2 girls from the other group into a car, one of whom was named Jonah, and tried to start it. Together, they managed to get the car running and explored a short distance, knowing they only had one day to move safely, avoiding the risks of nighttime. After some time, the stranger and Jonah arrived at a large, abandoned apartment, completely deserted. Since they didn't know the stranger's name, they temporarily called him John. While trying to enter the apartment, they opened a window and noticed a boy trapped inside. When the boy saw Jesse, he screamed loudly, warning them to leave immediately, or else everyone inside would kill them. Jesse was terrified and stepped back with John. They needed to find out who the trapped boy was and what he was warning them about. John began breaking down a chain door, facing many difficulties but determined to free the boy and uncover the truth. Watching all this, Jessie began experiencing a strange, persistent pain in her head, a sensation linked to John and herself, though its meaning remained unclear. Despite the uncertainty, the 2 of them tried to comfort each other and stay composed. Back at the house, it became clear that Lucas was feeling unwell. He had eaten something strange from the basement food supplies, and sweat was pouring off him. When the short-haired girl approached him, Lucas suddenly became aggressive. He tried to grab her and harm her. The short-haired girl ran away, while the rest of the team intervened, forcing Lucas to lie down and tending to him. At this point, the short-haired girl was terrified and decided she would keep her distance from Lucas from now on. Nathan, another team member, approached her and asked, "What do you know? Try to tell me everything." He also inquired about the mad woman they had seen in the small shed, wanting to know how the girl knew her. The short-haired girl, who couldn't speak, led Nathan to the woman they had previously seen in the shed. However, upon entering the forest, they realized the mad woman was no longer there. Nathan needed answers, so he pressed on alone to find her. The area resembled the surroundings near their house, but there was no one in sight. Nathan found a broken pair of glasses, and when he put them on, terrifying visions overwhelmed him, leaving him shaken. It seemed he had glimpsed something that was about to be revealed. Meanwhile, the short-haired girl returned inside the house, only to find Lucas sitting on the sofa, staring intensely at her. She realized his mental state was unstable and feared he might attack her again. She immediately ran and locked herself in a room filled with strange toys, using them to occupy herself. Lucas, on the other hand, opened a basement door leading to a room no one knew about. After searching for a while, he was shocked to discover monitors showing feeds from all the CCTV cameras. Every shed and area outside was under surveillance. Everything they had seen and experienced was being monitored from this hidden control room. From this basement, everything had been monitored. Lucas had finally found the place he had been searching for since the beginning, the location where the stranger who had trapped them might be hiding. After further searching, he discovered a secret door and entered to find a laboratory filled with human brains and other horrifying experiments. The sight was enough to disturb him completely, severed human body parts and experimental setups too gruesome to describe. While searching, Lucas found a camera and checked its footage. He saw John, the stranger, conducting experiments on multiple people. Shockingly, he even saw himself on the video, subjected to various injections and tests. It became clear that John, the unknown man, was behind all these atrocities. Lucas knew he had to inform the rest of the team immediately. He collected all the evidence and rushed to reunite with his team members. Meanwhile, John and Jonah were shown traveling back toward their house. They still had no clue who the trapped boy was or whether a mysterious organization or nature itself was playing with them. While driving, they suddenly encountered a large fallen tree blocking the road. Unable to continue, they got out of the car to investigate. From the side, they heard sounds like someone chopping wood. As they approached, they saw several people with strange, unnatural faces. They showed no emotion, no human behavior, and appeared sick or zombie-like, as if controlled by someone. The problem escalated when John realized he had no idea what was happening and instinctively moved toward them for help. The strange group, armed and seemingly ready to attack, began moving toward him, creating an immediate and dangerous confrontation. John and Saren were terrified and immediately jumped into the car, trying to escape. John attempted to start the car, but it wouldn't start. He got out and instructed Saren to take the steering wheel while he pushed the car backward from the front. At least this way, they could keep a safe distance from the infected people. In situations like this, being trapped in the middle of a forest with crazed, infected people charging toward you, quick decisions are crucial. One effective strategy is to use military survival techniques. For example, if armed and infected people are approaching, first try to create distance. Running may not work for long because you'll eventually get exhausted. The best technique is to climb a tree and hide in the foliage where no one can see you, staying there until the danger passes. Many cases have shown that such crazed, mentally unstable people are actually physically stronger, but mentally weak, making them easier to outsmart. Hiding in dense bushes or using camouflage with mud and leaves, techniques often employed by military soldiers during forest missions, can help you remain undetected. Another option is to hold your breath and hide in water bodies like rivers or lakes. These methods, if applied carefully, can help you evade danger. As John and Saren pushed the car backward, suddenly all the crazed people stopped moving. They didn't advance at all. Puzzled, John and Saren scanned the area and saw some people hanging from a tree. They couldn't understand the connection between the hung people and the crazed crowd or why the crowd had stopped. However, one thing became clear: the territory of these crazed individuals was right there. John and Jonah managed to start the car and quickly reached near their home. Meanwhile, Lucas was standing in front of them, gun in hand, furious after discovering the truth about John. He pointed the gun at John, attempting to shoot him. John had no idea what mistake he had made, while Lucas immediately tried to show Jonah the proof, a video recording from the camera revealing that John was a scientist conducting experiments on people. Jonah was shocked as she saw the injection marks on her own arms, realizing the horrifying truth. Before John could speak, Lucas attacked him, creating a tense and heated confrontation. John eventually lost consciousness, and Lucas dragged him to the pit filled with dead bodies, the same one where so many people had been killed. Lucas planned to throw John back into the pit. When John regained consciousness, he tried to plead, warning that what was happening was wrong and urging Lucas to reconsider. But Lucas, completely out of control, threw John into the pit, causing a severe head injury. The injury triggered a flood of visions in John's mind. In these visions, he repeatedly saw a woman. When John opened his eyes inside the pit, he saw her, the same woman with the water animal tattoo he had seen in his visions. Meanwhile, Lucas, still visibly unstable, returned to the house. Jonah and the short-haired girl were there, and Lucas asked about Nathan's whereabouts, though he had no idea. Lucas openly admitted that he had thrown John into the pit and intended to finish him off. Jonah tried to reason with Lucas, saying that no one should act until all the truths were clear. But Lucas's behavior was increasingly erratic, bordering on madness. He was beginning to behave like the other unknown, deranged people, acting violently and unpredictably. When the short-haired girl approached, Lucas even attacked her, showing just how far gone he had become. The short-haired girl ran for her life as Lucas chased her, clearly intending to kill her. Jessa quickly understood what was happening, grabbed a gun, and went after Lucas. At one point it seemed like the short-haired girl was about to die, but Jessa fired in time and saved her. Lucas escaped into the forest. The short-haired girl immediately rushed to the pit, threw down a rope, and pulled John out. It seemed like she already knew something, but she still couldn't communicate it to anyone. Meanwhile, Lucas, shaken and unstable, headed straight to the abandoned apartment where they had earlier found the chained boy. He wanted to question him about the people he had warned them about. When John entered the apartment, he found an infected man and woman behaving like deranged zombies. John pointed his gun at them, but his car keys slipped from his hand. One of the crazed women grabbed the key and swallowed it. John had no choice, he needed the key or he couldn't escape, so he shot her, retrieved the key, and drove away. Night had fallen, and in the distance he saw the same boy leaving with a group of people. They had locked some infected family members inside their vehicle and refused to let them out. When John approached, they pointed a gun at him and drove off, making it clear their own people had turned violent too. John then inspected some boxes left near their car and suddenly began remembering things. Inside were tubes filled with a substance, an antidote. Memories flooded back. He realized he had been a scientist sent to this forest to create a cure for a deadly outbreak that turned people into mindless, violent, zombie-like beings. The infected people roaming the forest had once been ordinary civilians affected by the pandemic. John remembered that the military had officially hired him to come here, study the infection, and develop a cure. Those who had turned aggressive in the city were dumped into the pit as test subjects so John and his team could work on the antidote. The date circled on the calendar was the deadline the military had given him to finish the medicine. It was obvious that if John didn't develop the antidote with his team, the military would arrive and kill everyone there. The military's plan was simple: anyone left would be eliminated because John and his team would have failed to complete the cure, and they couldn't risk letting the pandemic spread any further. John remembered clearly that he had successfully created the antidote, but when he sent one of his teammates to deliver it to the military, he discovered the man was already dead. This meant the forces had no idea the antidote even existed, and they could arrive at any moment to wipe everyone out. At the same time, John saw a photograph of Jessa, and before he could leave, Lucas appeared and attacked him. John narrowly survived, striking Lucas with a nearby rock to take him down. Meanwhile, Nathan approached Jessa's side, and it seemed memories were returning to them as well. Nathan was John's brother, and Jessa was his girlfriend. All of them were scientists who had come to the island for experiments. Everything had been going smoothly, they had even vaccinated themselves, but one test subject had escaped and attacked them. John had been forced to kill that woman and drag her into the pit, which is what his visions had been showing him. At the same time, others near the pit had attacked John, causing him to fall. A side effect of the antidote had erased everyone's memory, and that's how everything had started over. Soon, they heard the approaching sound of the military. John immediately rushed toward his home, knowing the forces wouldn't stop and would shoot anyone they saw. Nathan had been shot while trying to explain to the officers outside, and John had witnessed his brother being killed. The next moment, John reached Jessa silently to take her with him, and even then, a deranged woman attacked, forcing him to shoot her before dragging her toward the pit. There was no point trying to reason with the officers, so John and Jessa jumped into the midst of all the dead bodies. She was severely injured, so John first administered the injection to her and also to himself. At first glance, it didn't seem like Jessa would survive, but John reassured her that once everything stabilized, they would get out. They faked death while the officers threw all the people they were killing into the pit. After some time, when John opened his eyes, he found his girlfriend lifeless, meaning the same situation had repeated. Due to the vaccine, everyone had forgotten everything, and John couldn't recall anything from before. Soon after, the short-haired woman rescued John, and they were confronted with the sight of so many dead bodies together. Whether the pandemic would ever truly end remained unknown, but this is where our story concludes.